All right, today I'm going to be showing you how to rebuild a swivel on a BE Whirl-A-Way surface cleaner. The tools I'm going to be using to do this job today, I have 2 adjustable wrenches, I have a snap ring removal tool, got a few dental picks, Allen key, and my swivel rebuild kit. So the very first step I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be removing the high pressure hose from the swivel itself. And it usually comes off in 2 parts. I'm going to use 2 adjustable wrenches to do it, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and get it loosened up. On mine, I've already pre-loosened them, so it's going to come off by hand. But you would usually use 2 wrenches for this process. So I got the hose off. There's also a male-to-male adapter that's there. You can remove it or it could stay there. It's up to you. So the very next step we're going to do, once we have that off, we're going to flip this over and we're going to be removing the spray bar from the swivel assembly. And we're going to be using the 2 adjustable wrenches to do that also. On the swivel assembly itself, you'll see 2 notches where you can attach a wrench to it, and I like to use the grooves inside of the base itself to help me get a little bit of leverage there. So I'm going to take the second wrench and apply it right to the bar and remove it like that. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to just take one hand and turn this like that. Very easily you will bend this bar and it'll be no good. You'll be looking at a replacement bar also. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And now we've got our bare swivel here. And at this point, we're going to flip it back over. The only thing holding it in place now is 1 bolt that is going to be removed with an Allen key, and you can see it right there. And we're going to go ahead and loosen that up a little. And this bolt does not have to come all the way out, just enough so that it kind of frees the swivel. And as you can see, it's about to slide right out. Great. Now that we've got it out, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're actually going to be removing this snap ring. And to do that, we're going to use our snap ring removal tool. So let's go ahead and get that pulled out of there. There we go. Got that out. We're going to go ahead and set that to the side. And the next step we're going to do is we're going to be pulling out pretty much the whole thing apart. It should all come out. In this stage, it might be a little tough due to the fact of corrosion in this dirt, but otherwise it should slide right out. One thing I want to mention here, here's my old part. Here's my new part. As you can see, there's a top section that's not here. What's going on is it's still stuck down in there. One of the easiest ways to get this pulling out, you could try a few times with a dental pick, but I've learned I can just kind of turn it over on either a wood bench or what I have is a rubber mat here. There it goes. Came right out. So, you know, if you're struggling to get that out, as you can see, it should come right out. There's nothing really holding it in place. So now that I've gotten that out, I'm actually going to go ahead and start the steps of rebuilding it. All right. Now that I've gotten those innards out, there's usually a spring still down in there. As you can see, I just kind of picked it out. And this spring is going to be replaced by the new spring that came in our repair kit. I'm going to go ahead and lower that spring right back in there. And it went down into there. Very important that you replace this spring. Silly as it sounds, it's a pretty important part to make sure you are changing out. Now that I've got that spring in, I'm going to go ahead and insert this piece next. And has 2 notches on it, and you should see it line up with 2 pegs that are down in there. It's only one way it can really go in. Once we get it in, I'll show you an image of that.
How would you get that in?
As with anything, when it comes to small parts, patience is going to be a virtue here. And there it is. I got it set in there. And you can see on both sides there's little pegs where I have those notches lined up. Can't really see it on the camera, but once that spring is compressed, it actually will hold it there in place. Next thing we're going to replace here, and I'm going to use my dental pick to point it out because it's very hard to see. This is an O-ring right in here. I'm sorry. Right here. I'm actually going to remove this O-ring and replace it with a new one that came in my kit. Let's go ahead and take care of that. And the chances are you're going to rip this O-ring out getting it out. As long as you have a new one to replace it with, no big deal. Sometimes people skip this step if you feel your O-ring is in good condition. Here's my old O-ring. You know, doesn't really look too bad, but the kit comes with a new one, so I'm going to go ahead and set that in there. So let's take a look. That fits right into a groove. That's why we can't even see it. It's pretty much flush against the wall. At this stage, I like to tell people, if you see you're all marred up in here, a lot of scratches, cracks, your assembly or the housing might be no good. You know, it is something to keep in mind. This should be pretty smooth on the inside without a lot of damage. And at this point, I like to take a little bit of high multi-purpose grease and a thin layer of multi-purpose grease, and I'm going to rub it here on the inside. And that's just to give me a little bit of lubrication. I don't go crazy with it, but I definitely do put enough. And just go ahead and grease it up. Nice thin layer all the way around. If you look in here and you're seeing tons of dirt, clean that out. Should go without saying, but just to throw it out there. So the next step is we're going to go ahead and drop the new swivel assembly in there. If you have some trouble with this step, another great thing to do is pull it out, and we're going to grease this up. A little bit of grease goes a long way, especially with metal on metal components. So I just have a little bit of residue grease on my hands here, and I'm just kind of rubbing it on there just to help it get in there a little smoother. And as you can see, that pushed right in. Great. We're almost done here. All we have to do is reset our snap ring, and the kit came with a new snap ring, and we're going to go ahead and get that in there. And you're going to have to apply a little bit of pressure to the top of it for it to all come together. And there it is. And you feel it when you turn it. I don't feel any grittiness. Nice and smooth. Feels really good there. As you can see, I'm spinning it freely, and the housing's barely moving because those bearings are nice and lubed up. Now we're just going to go ahead and reinstall it the exact same way we pulled it out, and that is pretty much it. How to fully rebuild the swivel on your BE Whirl-A-Way surface cleaner.